This is my out of the home theater review for Disclosure Day on Kaleidescape. So right away, the audio on this is extremely dialogue heavy.
You're enjoying this.
Yeah, I mean, it feels good. It feels good, and then yeah, but you know. I mean, you've been driving like a maniac the last few days. You know.
How do you know that?
I just know things. It's just something happened to me a couple of days ago, and now I know things. Things I don't really want to know, and all things I do want to know, I don't really know at all. So I've just been kind of rolling with it, you know, like, oh wow, you were in jail? It must have been so insane. You see what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy. I look at somebody, and I just drop in on them.
I'd say this is like 90%, maybe even 95% dialogue heavy. It's kind of hard to classify what type of movie this is, at least for me. It's not an action movie. Obviously, it's more of a sci-fi movie, but it's not your typical sci-fi movie where, you know, you're in outer space and there are aliens, but everything takes place on Earth. So there is some action, but it's mostly dialogue heavy. And then the action sequences that are in this movie, there's not really a whole lot going on. The movie sounds good. I'm not going to say that it sounds great because I don't think it does. I don't think this is that type of movie where it's supposed to just light up all your speakers. It's a Spielberg movie. And yeah, you know, the biggest, like I said, there's not really a whole lot of action sequences in this movie. There are some. The biggest action sequence is towards the very end, where the two characters are being chased. So there is a lot of ambiance, a lot of atmospherics in this movie, so you do get that. And in this scene, you know, when they're driving around, when they're driving in the car, Emily Blunt's driving, and then you've got the other character in the car. It sounds like you're driving in a car in real life. You know, you can hear the tires moving, you know, going across the road. You can hear other cars passing by. You can hear the atmospherics of the wind hitting the car as they're driving. When she swerves off road, you hear the transition from the tires, you know, hitting the gravel and then going back onto the pavement, the road. So you do get that stuff like that, you know, atmospherics. And then after that, there's a scene where they're kind of, I guess they're being chased, but it's not like a car chase. This scene, they're really sitting in the car most of the time, and then they get rear-ended, and you do get some bass, you do get some more atmospherics there. You know, if you've ever been in a car accident, you know how it sounds or know how it feels. But even in that scene, there's some missed opportunities. I felt like, you know, when the antagonist is shooting at them, you know, the bullets are hitting the train and they're ricocheting off. I felt like maybe the high channels could have been used a little bit more there. Honestly, there's not really a whole lot of high channel activity that would make sense for the scene, but I'm using 6 height speakers and I'm looking at the Atmos viewer, and the only speakers that really light up are the middle speakers. So even in the biggest action sequence in this movie, you're not going to really get any high channel activity. Mine, again, if you have 4, then maybe all 4 of your speakers will light up, but since I have 6, the only speakers that light up are the 2 height middle speakers. And then when their car is kind of like trapped underneath the train, you get some really good atmospherics there. You hear the tire, you know, the blown out tire that's just flapping against the track. You know, the car's scraping against the ground, against the gravel, against the train track. And then as the train is approaching, you can hear that. So whenever the camera cuts back and forth, you do get some height activity depending on the vantage point of what they're showing you that's happening in the scene. But again, there's not really a whole lot to get excited about this movie. But at the same time, I don't want to critique it harshly just because this movie isn't really an action movie. It's a Spielberg movie, so, you know, Spielberg, he likes to set up the story. It takes a little while to get going. but when it does, it gets very interesting. So yeah, the audio on this, not very impressive, but considering the type of movie it is, I don't really want to hold that against the, you know, the audio score. So yeah, if you're going into this, if you watch the movie in the theater, then you kind of probably already know how it sounds. And if you're looking to get this at home because you're a Spielberg fan and you've got your dedicated home theater, this isn't a movie that's going to be demo worthy at all by any means. You do get some good bass. There is some pretty decent bass. I feel like there should be more bass with the train scene. I mean, if you've ever heard a train or if you've ever been next to a train, that thing is visceral and it will rattle everything within probably a couple miles. You'll hear it. I mean, there's a train somewhere close by my house. I haven't really found it yet. It's not actually close by my house. It's pretty far away and I can hear it in the distance. So if you're right next to a train, I feel like the bass could have been a lot more potent, a lot more visceral, a lot more violent, but it's not horrible. So yeah, that's the audio. Now, as far as the video, again, this is a Spielberg movie. Nothing is going to wow you here. If you know what Spielberg movies look like, you know, this one to me kind of resembles some of his other movies where it has that slight little haze, and then, you know, it's got some grain throughout. So it kind of looks otherworldly, kind of looks like it's a little bit dated, but it also has that grit to it to where it feels like it's not quite a modern movie. Like it feels like this movie could take place maybe a few decades ago. And then also you have the archival footage in there. So I think it kind of blends in with that. It looks good. It's not anything impressive. Again, this movie is more about the story than I think it is like visual spectacle and all that stuff. So I didn't really see anything to write home about on this. You know, I didn't really think there was really many standout HDR scenes in this movie. Again, it looks pretty much like it did in the theater. You know, it feels like an alien movie. It has that feel to it. Like I said, it feels otherworldly. It feels like it belongs almost not in a modern, you know, it doesn't feel like it was, if you were to watch this movie, it kind of almost feels like it was shot, you know, 20, 30 years ago. But it doesn't look like it was shot 20, 30 years ago, if that makes sense. It has the feel of that, but still with modern technology. So there's really not a whole lot to say about the video. It looks good. It's got some grain throughout. It's got that haze. It looks and feels like a Spielberg movie. So, ratings. As far as audio, I would have to give this a 7 out of 10. And that's probably being a little bit generous, but like I said, I don't really want to critique this movie too harshly because this movie isn't designed to wow you, you know, sonically with, you know, stuff flying around everywhere. This really isn't that type of movie. Like I said, it's about 95% dialogue heavy. So I'll give it a 7 out of 10 just for what it is. I could probably easily give it a 6 out of 10, but considering the type of movie, the genre it is, I'm going to go with 7 out of 10. As far as video, I'll probably give it the same, 7 out of 10. Nothing to write home about. Looks like it did in the movies. Not really a whole lot to expect here, but yeah. So that's my review, my out of the home theater review for Disclosure Day. Now I want to know what you guys think in the comments. Have you seen the movie? What are your thoughts on the movie? What are your thoughts on the audio and video? Let me know down in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.